welcome back to our show, your show, Let's Talk Stocks. In studio with us this morning is Mr. Dean Nevers, and he's CEO and founder of Konnexx Services. Welcome to the show, Dean.
Yeah, Fortis.
Of course, you're letting them see the Fortis
Yes.
Very important. Dean, you built this company, Konnexx Services, from the ground up. Not very usual for Jamaican, and not many Jamaicans know that this kind of business exists.
Yeah, so pretty much Konnexx Services started around 20 years ago, and the idea was to build the Jamaican engineering resources in Jamaica and throughout the Caribbean, because during my time, most of our engineers were outside of Jamaica that was helping to build the telecommunication infrastructure in the Caribbean. So I thought that it would be good for us to explore and put ourselves out there as a group to show that we can actually build first world networks, similar to what we're doing in Jamaica.
And when we're talking about what you do, you're talking about putting in the infrastructure for companies like the Digicells and the Flows can operate properly.
Yes, so pretty much over the years we would have worked with Cable and Wireless, Flow, Digicel, other telecommunication, international telecommunication entities in terms of working on the designing of the network for the country, doing the construction work to build out the network and to commission the network, and after doing that, we would assist with installing the network. So whether residential homes, commercial businesses in the hotels, that is what we do 24 hours a day. We also help with maintaining the network 24 hours a day to ensure that there is connectivity, because everyone needs to have their data up and running. It's very, very important. We are also able to respond in times of needs when there's an hurricane. We have to have hurricane planning to do restorative work throughout the Caribbean. So we try to be very robust and active. We have over 400 engineers, active engineers in field. We're constantly training engineers for deployment. We have several MOUs with universities and training institutions, whereby after persons would complete their theoretical studies, we would bring them in to get the practical training for deployment.
What you just spoke to is very massive. As a country, we going to school, we're taught many times the bright students either become doctors, lawyers, accountants. But you just said your Jamaican company has over 400 engineers.
Correct.
And that need to be said very loudly.
Yes, and just to add to that, it's important for us so engineers pretty much you solve problems, right? Yes. So it's not just telecommunication. So over the years, we would have morphed into other areas wherever the need is, and it needs some type of engineering. So, for example, we, over the last 6 years, we have been involved in solar engineering. Okay. So we actually have a team of over 30 solar engineers that actually work to design solar systems, install solar systems, and maintain it. Over the last, say, 5 years, software engineering is very, very important to the development of any society. So guess what? We have to now look in that space. So we do have internal software engineers that actually develop applications and software for deployment in the field. So we're constantly, researching, exploring, bringing the various types of engineers on board to offer our services. And the reality behind it is that Jamaica is not rich in minerals, but we're rich in brain power, and
Indeed.
I think as we can actually export our brain power engineering as a service, and that's where the whole thing of remittance would come back in, you
No,
know. So
you say that very loosely, but that's a very powerful statement because one of the biggest contributors to our GDP is remittance. Um,
yes,
and I don't know that we've looked at a structured way of, as you say, exporting that labor, that knowledge that we have in Jamaica. It kind of just evolved. Some people just migrate, and of course they're gonna send back. But if we look, as you are now saying, at really producing people for that.
yes. Think about it. So traditionally, persons would tend to want to migrate out of Jamaica to North America, okay, for their own personal exploits,
Yes.
of course. But from a company direction, your neighbors, pretty much, when you look at the combined GDP for our neighboring countries, so whether on the Spanish side or the English side, there are a lot of opportunities there where we can explore in terms of the various services that we have to offer, efficient quality service, and the reality behind it, you'll be creating jobs, which is good. And guess what? Those jobs are not leaving you permanently to go to the north, but on finishing a project, they're coming back to Jamaica, right? Or they're going back to another Caribbean territory. So as a group, and this is not just Jamaica, it's the entire Caribbean, because the English-speaking side of the Caribbean, the economy is pretty much small when you compare it to our Spanish neighbors. But if we work as a team, I think more could be done in the CARICOM region to develop our resources that we have, powerful resources as it relates to, for example, on the engineering side. And we could do a lot more versus stressing to find oil that we probably don't have in terms of Jamaica, you know. But there's lots of activities, and we're excited about the potential.
How many Caribbean countries are you in the region?
So we have done projects in over 7 Caribbean countries in terms of major telecommunication development over the years. And I think for us, just the exposure for our local engineers, it has been very invaluable to them. And it helps us to now be even more confident that we can cross borders to go elsewhere, even outside of the Caribbean region.
Outside of the region.
Yes.
And the region you're saying as a whole, if combined, could do much more.
Much more when you think about it, we tend to not look at our Spanish-speaking neighbors. For example, DOMREP, when you
Yes.
look at how developed their economy is, and even Central America, it's you have lots of potential there. It's not just traveling there for tourism, you know. So I think there needs to be some type of an approach in terms of what we have been doing in terms of the English-speaking Caribbean to now look at the Latam region.
And that's good because the world sees Caribbean and Latin America as one region. We tend to see us just in the Caribbean.
Separate, yeah. Yeah, we do.
Talk to me about the potential of that as we look to wrap up this interview.
Okay, we recently had a visit to DOMREP, and I was so impressed in terms of how developed their economy is and the potential that is there for us to do business with them. But even being so close, it's like yet so far because of the Spanish barrier, and we just didn't have that close relationship. It just wasn't there because of I guess, the whole thing with the Commonwealth. And I think we're losing out a lot by not looking to
Close in markets.
Yes, correct.
Dean, there's so much things for us to talk about. We're gonna have to do this in 2 parts. I'm gonna wrap up the first part of this interview. I'm gonna bring you back tomorrow morning so that we can continue this discussion, because it's very intriguing that a Jamaican company built locally and taking charge of the region, putting in the kind of infrastructure that you have been putting in. As we always say here on Let's Talk Stocks, we bring you information to make better financial decisions. So come back with us tomorrow morning at 9 and we'll have the second part of the interview with Mr. Dean Nevers, the CEO and founder of Konnexx Services, a Jamaican company, engineering company I want to call it, offering solutions, building out infrastructure for big telecom companies. Come back with us tomorrow morning at 9.